One of the most important factors to consider when choosing an Italian red wine is the region where it comes from. Italy has 20 different wine regions, each with its own climate, soil, and grape varieties. Some regions are famous for producing high-quality wines, while others are more suited for everyday drinking. In this section, we will explore how to choose the right region and grape variety for your taste and budget. The first thing to know is that Italian wines are labeled by their region of origin, not by their grape variety. This means that you need to learn which grapes are grown in which regions, and what kind of wines they produce. For example, if you see a bottle labeled Chianti, you know that it comes from the Tuscany region and that it is made mostly with Sangiovese grapes. Sangiovese is Italy's most planted grape variety, and it produces medium-bodied wines with high acidity and tannins, and flavors of cherry, plum, and herbs. If you like Sangiovese-based wines, you can also look for other regions that use this grape, such as Brunello di Montalcino, DOCG, Rosso di Montepulciano, DOC, and Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, DOCG, in Tuscany, or Montefalco Rosso, DOC, in Umbria. These wines tend to be more expensive and complex than Chianti, but they also offer more depth and elegance. Another popular grape variety in Italy is Nebbiolo, which is grown mainly in the Piedmont region. Nebbiolo is responsible for some of the most prestigious and expensive wines in Italy, such as Barolo, DOCG, and Barbaresco, DOCG. These wines are full-bodied, powerful, and tannic, with aromas of roses, tar, licorice, and truffles. They require long aging to soften their tannins and develop their complexity. If you want to try Nebbiolo-based wines without breaking the bank, you can look for other regions that use this grape, such as Lang, DOC, Roero, DOC, or Gattinara, DOCG, in Piedmont, or Valtellina, DOC, in Lombardy. These wines are usually lighter and more approachable than Barolo and Barbaresco, but they still have the characteristic Nebbiolo flavors and structure. A third grape variety that you should know is Montepulciano, which is both Italy's second most popular grape variety and the name of a town in Tuscany that produces Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. However, these two Montepulcianos are not related. The grape Montepulciano is grown mostly in the Abruzzo region, where it makes easy drinking wines with low acidity and soft tannins, and flavors of blackberry, cherry, and spice. If you like Montepulciano-based wines, you can also look for other regions that use this grape, such as Rosso Canero, DOC, or Rosso Piceno, DOC, in Marche, or Aglianico del Vulture, DOCG, or Torossi, DOCG, in Campania. These wines tend to be more structured and complex than Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, but they also offer more richness and intensity. These are just some examples of how to choose the right region and grape variety for your taste and budget when it comes to Italian red wines. There are many more grape varieties and regions to explore in Italy, such as Barbera, Corvina, Primitivo, Nero di Avola, and more. The best way to learn about them is to taste them yourself and discover your own preferences. Cheers! One of the most important skills for a wine lover is to know how to read an Italian wine label. Italian wine labels can be confusing, but they also contain a lot of useful information that can help you choose the best wine for your budget and taste. Here are some tips on how to read an Italian wine label and understand the quality and age of the wine. The first thing to look for on an Italian wine label is the name of the producer or winery. This is usually at the top or bottom of the front label, and it can tell you a lot about the reputation and style of the wine. Some producers are famous for making high-quality wines, while others are more mass-market oriented. You can also look for words like Azienda Agricola, Tenuta, Castello, or Casina, which indicate that the producer grows its own grapes and makes its own wine. The next thing to look for is the name of the wine, which can be either the name of the grape variety, the name of the region or sub-region, or a proprietary name. For example, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo is a wine made from Montepulciano grapes in the Abruzzo region. Chianti is a wine made from Sangiovese grapes in the Chianti sub-region of Tuscany, and Sassicaia is a famous wine made from Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc grapes in Bulgari, Tuscany. The name of the wine can give you an idea of what to expect in terms of flavor, body, and acidity. The third thing to look for is the vintage year, which is usually on the front or back label. The vintage year tells you when the grapes were harvested and can indicate the quality and age of the wine. Some years are better than others for different regions and grapes, depending on the weather conditions and other factors. You can research online or ask a wine expert what are the best vintages for Italian wines. In general, older wines tend to be more complex and mature, while younger wines tend to be more fresh and fruity. The fourth thing to look for is the region and classification tiers, which are usually next to each other on the front label. The region tells you where the grapes were grown and can give you an idea of the climate and terroir of the wine. Italy has 20 regions, each with its own distinctive wines and grapes. For example, Piedmont is known for its Nebbiolo-based wines like Barolo and Barbaresco, while Sicily is known for its Nero di Avola-based wines like Sarasuolo di Vittoria. The classification tiers tell you how strictly regulated the production and quality of the wine are. Italy has four main classification tiers: DOCG, Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita; DOC, Denominazione di Origine Controllata, IGT, Indicazione Geografica Tipica; and Vino di Tavola, table wine. DOCG is the highest tier and has the most stringent rules on where, how, and what grapes can be used, as well as how long the wine has to be aged. DOC is one step below DOCG and has similar but less strict rules. IGT is a more flexible tier that allows winemakers to use grapes and styles that are not allowed under DOC or DOCG rules. Vino di Tavola is the lowest tier and has no rules at all. In general, higher tiers tend to indicate higher quality and price, but there are also exceptions and variations. The fifth thing to look for is the alcohol level, which is usually on the front or back label. The alcohol level tells you how strong or light the wine is and can affect how it tastes and feels in your mouth. The alcohol level is expressed as a percentage by volume, ABV, and can range from 5% to 15% or more. In general, higher alcohol levels tend to indicate fuller-bodied and warmer wines, while lower alcohol levels tend to indicate lighter-bodied and cooler wines. The sixth thing to look for is any additional terms that can give you more information about the style or quality of the wine. For example, Riserva means that the wine has been aged for longer than usual, Superior means that the wine has a higher quality designation than normal, Classico means that the wine comes from the original area of production within a region, and Annata or Vendemmia means that the wine comes from a specific harvest or vintage. By following these tips, you will be able to read an Italian wine label like a pro and find out more about what's inside your bottle. Remember that labels are not everything though, and that tasting is always the best way to judge a wine. Cheers!